Thanks for tuning in to Jamaica Magazine. I'm Sandra Johnson. Today we talk shelter readiness. Are we? Watch to find out. Plus, applications are now open for the COVID-19 vaccine incentive grant for fully vaccinated persons 60 years and older. And we take a closer look at just how safe the vaccine is. All that and more in 30 minutes.
My name is Venice Blackstock Murray. I am an Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions in the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. We are extremely grateful to the EU for the contribution it has made to the justice system. We have benefited from the implementation of audiovisual technology within the courts, which allows us to take evidence from witnesses who will not be able to attend court personally. We know that the collaboration with the EU and the Ministry of Justice will help Jamaica to obtain a first-class justice system.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Thursday, July 15, 2021. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is warning that he will act decisively if persons continue to disobey the COVID-19 protocols. Mr. Holness's caution comes as the Ministry of Health and Wellness reports a slight increase in COVID-19 positivity and hospitalization rates. In addition to the Health Ministry's surveillance activities, the Prime Minister says ODPEM and his ministry have been paying close attention to what's happening in the parties, nightclubs, restaurants, and other gathering locations. Based on those surveillance, Mr. Holness says there's a worrying trend, particularly among young persons, of people not observing the COVID-19 protocols.
As your Prime Minister, it is my role to balance all the considerations. It is not an easy task. The arguments on both sides are strong and compelling. But ultimately, I have a duty to the safety of the population. If it is that your behavior threatens the safety of the population, then I will have to act. I need not say any further on this matter.
Since July 1, the country has relaxed certain COVID-19 restrictions. They include extending the curfew hours and lifting the ban on entertainment events and funerals. Starting today, persons 60 years and older who are fully vaccinated can apply for the COVID-19 vaccine incentive grant of $10,000. Applications must be made online via the wecare.gov.jm website. Qualified persons will need to provide their first and last name, TRN, date of birth, mobile phone number, and an email address if available. They will also need to indicate a preferred method of payment, whether through a valid commercial bank or a remittance agency. During a national broadcast last evening, Finance Minister Dr. Nigel Clark said the initiative was among government's response to the pandemic having a disproportionately fatal impact on Jamaicans within the 60 and older age group. He emphasized that figures from the Ministry of Health as at June showed that 75% of those who have died from COVID-19 are among this cohort.
In addition, though that cohort are only 14% of the population, they represent over 50% of those who have been hospitalized as a result of COVID-19. The population aged 60 and over is, therefore, very vulnerable to COVID-19, and the pandemic does not end in Jamaica until a large majority of these Jamaicans are vaccinated against COVID-19.
For further assistance, call the Customer Service Center at the Ministry of Finance, toll-free at 888-4WE-CARE. That's 888-493-2273. National Security Minister Dr. Horace Chang says the first zone of special operation to be declared, Mount Salem, has become a model community for the ZOSO's effectiveness. A zone of special operations was declared for the St. James community in 2017, leading to a range of transformation work. Minister Chang says the coordinated and comprehensive approach to community development for sustainable violence reduction will be replicated in other vulnerable and volatile communities.
We demonstrate our commitment to transforming not only communities but the police force to provide the community with the quality of safety and peace as we provide the police officers with the environment in which to always work hard to protect and serve, as is their mission in this country.
The National Security Minister was speaking at Wednesday's opening of the remodeled state-of-the-art Mount Salem Police Station. The $47.6 million upgrade was funded by the European Union and executed by the Jamaica Social Investment Fund. The Ministry of Education will be launching 211 as a singular helpline for children at risk or for anyone who wishes to report child abuse. Portfolio Minister Favour Williams says the helpline will be launched on September 6 and follows approval from the Office of Utilities Regulation, OUR.
This helpline will be manned 24 hours by child care professionals and will be a significant addition to the child protection ecosystem. We will be running a national campaign to inform Jamaicans of this new helpline, as we will transition it to be the main helpline for reporting child abuse in Jamaica. And because it will be easy to remember, we know that it will be used in those times.
The minister was speaking in the House of Representatives on Tuesday. She says the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, will also be embarking on a positive or good parenting campaign to empower Jamaican parents to raise happy, healthy, and smart children. And the Education Ministry will be undertaking a corporal punishment campaign where parents will be encouraged to try positive discipline. Both campaigns will run for a total of 4 years in separate phases. The island's first inclusive infant school will soon be converted into a fully inclusive learning institution up to the secondary level. A memorandum of understanding was recently signed between the Ministry of Education and the Rock House Foundation to facilitate the development. The Savannah Lamar Inclusive Infant Academy was created in 2017 as the island's first public education institution catering to students with and without disabilities.
The ministry will ensure that the property remains open as an inclusive infant school in the first instance and gradually transition into a full inclusive school from the early childhood level to the secondary level. The ministry will provide teachers for the institution with access to in-service training and support materials that are made available by the ministry to teachers in early childhood level public educational institutions.
The Education Ministry and Rock House Foundation will also work together to provide furniture, teaching and learning resources, as well as playground equipment for the startup and continuation of the school.
We will facilitate specialists such as occupational, physical, and speech therapists, as well as medical personnel in cooperation with the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the Ministry of Labor and Social Security. The ministry will ensure that a balanced meal is provided for all the students of the institution and undertakes to provide funds for the maintenance, security, and operation of the school.
And finally, the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development will be launching a comprehensive public education drive within the next 2 weeks on the proper disposal of waste. Portfolio Minister Desmond McKenzie says the campaign will incorporate the use of various platforms, including social media.
If we provide a garbage truck for every community in Jamaica, and if we find all the resources that is required to clean drains and gullies, if a section of the Jamaican society don't buy into self-preservation and discipline, then all our efforts will go in vain.
Mr. McKenzie made the disclosure at the recent monthly meeting of the Trelawney Municipal Corporation. He says the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, and the National Solid Waste Management Authority, NSWMA, will be integral to the project. And all sectors of the society, including vendors and the business community, will be engaged in the drive. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
Getting the first dose is not an excuse not to wear the mask, not to social distance or physical distance, not to sanitize. Getting the first dose is not justification for deciding that you're going to resume the parties, the gatherings beyond the limits that have been established. The journey is to observe the protocols, take the second dose when it is time, and then we will resume some semblance of normalcy once we achieve herd immunity.
It's official. As of today, fully vaccinated persons who are 60 years and older can apply for the COVID-19 vaccine incentive grant of $10,000. And fully vaccinated means that you have received both doses from the Ministry of Health and Wellness. Here's what you need to know.
Hello, my fellow Jamaicans. The COVID-19 pandemic has severely disrupted life in Jamaica. In particular, the pandemic has had a disproportionately fatal impact on Jamaicans aged 60 and over. Figures from the Ministry of Health as at June showed that 75% of those who have died from COVID-19 are from among the group aged 60 and over. In addition, though that cohort are only 14% of the population, they represent over 50% of those who have been hospitalized as a result of COVID-19. The population aged 60 and over is, therefore, very vulnerable to COVID-19, and the pandemic does not end in Jamaica until a large majority of these Jamaicans are vaccinated against COVID-19. This is in the public interest. The government, through the Serve Jamaica program, is building on the CARE program to provide a one-time $10,000 COVID-19 vaccine incentive for persons aged 60 and over who are fully vaccinated and who apply for this grant. If you are aged 60 or older and you have been vaccinated as evidenced by the Ministry of Health and Wellness, you can apply for this $10,000 COVID-19 vaccine incentive starting Thursday, July 15 through the WeCare portal at wecare.gov.jm. You'll need to provide your first and last name, TRN, date of birth, mobile phone number, an email address if available, and a preferred method of payment, whether through a valid commercial bank or a remittance agency. If you decide to receive your COVID-19 vaccine incentive through a commercial bank account, you need to ensure that the name of the applicant, the name attached to the bank account, and the name on the Ministry of Health vaccination card are all identical. You should also ensure that the bank account selected for payment is an active account. If you choose to receive your COVID-19 vaccine incentive through a remittance company, you need to provide a government-issued ID as well as your unique reference number received by email or text from the completed online application. Qualifying applicants who are physically unable to travel to the remittance company may opt for their COVID-19 vaccine incentive to be collected by a third party. At the time of collection, the third party must present a signed letter of authorization stamped by a justice of the peace, a valid government-issued ID for the applicant, and a valid government-issued ID for the third party collecting the incentive. All updates and additional information on this program will be sent to applicants through SMS text messages and/or email. After submitting your online application through the WeCare portal, please keep your reference number safe and check your text messages and email regularly. If you have any questions or need assistance, please call customer service at the Ministry of Finance and Public Service, toll-free at 888-4WeCare. That is 888-493-2273. Jamaica has started to recover from this pandemic. With a successful COVID-19 vaccination program, our recovery will be even stronger.
Know your numbers and control the keys to a healthier heart. Know the numbers for your blood pressure, cholesterol level, blood glucose level, and your weight and body mass index. Find out the risks they represent and what you need to do to stay healthy. Talk to your doctor and start making healthy lifestyle choices to prevent a heart attack or stroke.
With the government now incentivizing fully vaccinated elders, it's only fitting that we understand the process it took to ensure that the COVID-19 vaccine is safe.
In 2005, this huge global scare with SARS, the severe acute respiratory syndrome, when people were dying in Hong Kong and the Far East, and some cases even came to New York. That SARS in 2005 was caused by a coronavirus, which is a cousin to this virus, this coronavirus, that causes COVID. So from 2005, they have been working on trying to get an effective vaccine to the SARS virus, and which also has a spike protein. And when the MERS epidemic came, this is the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome, developed, in 2012 there were a number of cases, and that stimulated more research. So when the Chinese in January of last year identified the actual sequence of the genetic makeup of the coronavirus that causes COVID, and they made it publicly available to the scientific community, within 1 week, a German company had produced a test which we use here to identify whether you have been infected with the COVID virus. It's the PCR test that we are using. It was developed 1 week after the virus was sequenced. And those vaccine scientists who were working on the SARS vaccine now, they just took the sequence that they got from the COVID virus and changed up their vaccine work a little bit and produced candidate vaccines in weeks. And then they had to take that vaccine and put it in clinical trials, 3 different stages, in animals, in a few, say, healthy adults to make sure it was safe, and then they put it in the trials with thousands of people. And these are the results that we are hearing about. It's not overnight. It is over 15 years. All the vaccines that have been reviewed so far are both effective and safe. It's not a live vaccine. It uses what we call a vector. They take the shell of a virus, a common cold virus, adenovirus, simply to get that into the body's system and into the immune system cells. And within that, there is a mimic of the spike protein, something just made that's similar to the spike protein, that then induces in the human a response that helps to protect us against the coronavirus itself that causes the COVID disease. Now, this is technology that has been used many times in terms, so it's a traditional platform. There is no adjuvant, there is no harmful material in the vaccine, and the material in the vaccine that goes into the cells is rapidly broken down and removed by the body through normal methods. Now, how do we know it is safe? It is put in trials, thousands of persons, and what you do is you give the vaccine to some people and you give a placebo. In other words, something that does not have the vaccine, just a simple saline injection or equivalent. And you compare the side effects, and you can see that the only side effects that we've been seeing that are of any significance are like a swollen arm, a little fever, headache, tiredness, and these usually go within 24 hours.
The Ministry of Local Government and ODPEM have been hard at work getting shelters ready for the Atlantic hurricane season. Our team went to a few of the designated locations, and yes, they are in good order.
The Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management are working closely with the municipal corporations and the various stakeholders that we are in a state of readiness.
When the advisory are given, that person should heed the warning. You move to your nearest shelter. Have done extensive work leading into the hurricane season. The hurricane season is 6 months, as we all know, from 1st of June to the end of November. And so extensive work would have gone in way before June to prepare the country for any eventuality.
We have started our shelter inspections as early as March, right across the parish. The various municipalities has been inspecting shelters, mobilizing resources, and continuing our program in terms of training of our volunteer corps.
The section that is provided for families is a new innovation, and Clarendon must be commended. So I'm saying, yes, I am more than satisfied, well pleased and satisfied. The question has been raised about isolations in regards to COVID-19. All our shelters are equipped with isolation areas so that persons, if they come down with COVID, will be relocated to these shelters.
This year, we have what we call our COVID protocol officers, who are specifically trained and in place in relation to ensuring sanitizing, mask wearing, temperature checks at the facilities, and general protocols being observed in the shelter facility.
We have to pay particular more attention to the facilities as it relates to COVID, because we don't want to complicate matters within the shelters with persons who might be affected by COVID. I can only urge Jamaicans to observe the protocols.
Throughout this program, the ADPEM seeks to ensure a constant stream of emergency supplies, inclusive of relief items, emergency response supply items. These readily available responses to emergencies and disasters such as flooding and earthquake. Many schools are used as shelters, and they should leave it when they leave in the same condition that they would have gone into or better. So we take care of the facilities and ensure that we are leaving the schools in proper condition for our children who use it on a regular basis.
In terms of taking care of our school plant, we have had, some experiences, negative experiences over the years, but we know that it is not the general desire of persons to destroy what is here. We just want to remind you, however, that we need our plant to be available for our children after the disaster would have passed. So if you do come, we are, of course, expecting that you are going to treat it as you would treat your own home.
It would be unfortunate if the shelter managers are forced to evict anyone for violating the protocols that is set. And let me be frank with you right now. It's time now we become more responsible. So I am expecting that nobody will attempt to cook in the shelters, because that is not going to happen. This government, since 2016, have made arrangements that once the shelters are occupied, we will provide food supplies for persons within the shelters. So the rules that are laid out are clear. It is written. I am pretty sure that the persons coming to the shelters will abide by these protocols. I have no doubt that they will. But if they break the rules, then the shelter managers have that responsibility to restore law and order.
We continue to keep the public abreast as to where will be the most vulnerable areas for us to activate shelters. And those shelters that are activated will also be published through our social media and the general media channels.
Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. Keep we island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it.
No dash, no paper, no dash, no plastic. Dispose your garbage responsibly. No know how to recycle, learn it quick. And if you drop it, better pick up every piece of it. Plastics last forever, don't forget the bits. Cause when them touch the street, them end up in the sea. Collect pan the reef where they fish them feed. And when you want seafood, I eat your
Keep
eat.
the island clean, so clean. From the peaks to the beach, so clean. No dirty up Jamaica, please don't do it. No dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica, no dirty up Jamaica.
This is where our journey ends, but only for today. Join us again tomorrow when we bring you another informative program. In the meantime, stay connected via our website at jis.gov.jm. And while you're online, send your feedback to Jamaica Magazine at jis.gov.jm or via tweet at JIS News. You may also find us on all the major social media platforms and through our mobile app that's Android and iOS compatible. On behalf of the production crew, I'm Sandra Johnson. Take care.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.